Hey everybody, thank you for joining us for today's webinar, the must-have secrets you need to know to dominate digital marketing. We've got a couple people logging in right now, so just hold tight for just a few minutes and we'll get started. All right, everybody, let's get started with today's webinar, the must-have secrets you need to know to dominate digital marketing. First of all, I want to thank everybody for being here today. I know time is very valuable to everybody, so I'm going to try to keep it under 30 minutes. If anybody has any questions at all, please just leave them in the comment box and we'll get back to you. So just to give you a brief overview about today's agenda, we're going to talk about some of the core digital channels, what those are and what kind of budgets you should be allocating towards those channels. Talking about geo-targeting, making sure that we are geo-targeting the most effective way that we can, and then some ways to learn how to optimize those campaigns in those locations. We're going to talk about analyzing and combating the competitor market share, because as we are going to see this explosive growth in digital and more competitors enter that space, it's going to be even more crucial to make sure that we're optimizing and doing all the best practices to minimize or add cost. We're going to talk about reaching our DMS customers online and how very valuable that is, using that offline data and matching it online and making sure you're staying in front of those customers in their buying cycle. And we're just going to put it all together for a winning strategy. So thank you very much for joining me, and let's get started. All right, just to give you a brief background about J&L for anybody that may not be familiar today. Been around for nearly 30 years in the automotive space. We help dealers across the tiers 1, 2, and 3 level for digital and direct marketing solutions. We are proud to be Google partners as well as Microsoft ad partners and have recently become digital vendors for both Shell and Mopar. We're very excited about this webinar today, and thank you for joining us. Okay, so just to give everybody a brief overview on digital marketing, and it's probably not going to come as a surprise to anybody here, especially you all listening today. But over the last 5, 10 years especially, we've seen this huge explosion across digital. We've seen ad dollars go from traditional media channels and shift into digital ad channels. But take a look at this graph here. What's really interesting is over the next 5 years, we're projected to nearly double over what has already been tremendous growth, right? So as more and more opportunities exist in that space, and as consumers shift their buying behaviors into the digital into that digital arena, we're going to see more competitors and thus higher competition and costs. So it's really crucial for us to have a really sound strategy moving forward. Okay, this next graph is really interesting too. This is looked at a local search consumer data. And what this found was that within 48 hours, most consumers are going to perform a local search and actually book an appointment or schedule a visit at a local business. So it's really crucial that you're present in that time of need more than ever. Okay? This next slide. What this shows is that most of the consumer searching is happening at home or at work, which is no surprise at all. And even as mobile phones become more powerful and browsers and everything goes to shift towards that mobile first experience, we're probably going to see more on-the-go searching, more people doing very, very localized and specialized searching exactly where they're at in their time of need. Okay? One more graph. This comes straight from Google. What Google found is 1 in 3 people that do a local search actually visit that store within 24 hours. So that's unbelievable. So if somebody is looking for a vehicle and they're ready to buy one today, if they see that ad and they see that dealership right there that's got the vehicle they're looking for at the price in stock, then more likely they're going to go visit that store. So this just gives you a little background of some of the things we've seen, some of the things we're going to be up against, and what to expect moving into the future. Okay, so we just hit on a little bit overview about digital marketing, some of the past, present, future, and what to expect moving forward. Let's talk about some of the core digital channels, why they're so crucial, and how I might recommend a budget into these channels and why. So the first is paid search. Paid search is going to have your highest intent of all your audience. When you look at that funnel where you've got awareness, interest, decision, and action, the people that are ready to buy are primarily going to be more towards the middle and the bottom of the funnel, and they're going to be coming from paid search. So paid search is very important to make sure you're bidding on the right keywords, you're aligning the right ad copy, and you're really getting the best position that's going to be most effective for you to reach your goals. So when a user goes onto a search engine, they type in a keyword, Those are the ads that pop up, paid search ads. The next is display ads. These are basically online billboards. So think about these as you scroll across weather.com or ESPN, Fox News, right? And you see a banner ad. That's a display ad. Video ads. Now, YouTube is technically a social network, but I like to lump video and social a little bit separately. So video ads, YouTube is a primary driver of these. There's another of other platforms that you can run video advertising from, but what's great about YouTube is not only does it integrate with Google, but it's really easy to upload those television ads or really build out your YouTube channel. And since it all links in with Google, it's really easy to run a YouTube ad campaign off of that. Now, additionally, we've got social. Like I said, YouTube is a social network, but social is more along the lines of Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, etc. Now, Facebook's the king of the social media network. There's been a lot of, privacy and a lot of issues with Cambridge Analytica, and Facebook's gone back and forth. They've kind of taken away some of the things from the users, but Facebook's still all in all the top social media platform. And then there's Gmail. I want to talk about Gmail because Gmail is something that not a lot of advertisers are necessarily taking advantage of. What's great about Gmail is that not only is it inexpensive, but again, it's on the Google platform, and you can reach about 1 billion monthly active users on Gmail worldwide, and you can use the DMS audience to reach them. So it's a very effective channel. But what's really important when lining up your channels is try to line them up with that funnel and that level of intent. So when you're allocating your budget, you need to ideally put more budget towards the bottom of the funnel, the more transactional opportunities, than that awareness. Now, it is great to have some television, to have some billboards, to generate this awareness, to obviously get the name out about your dealership. But when those people are ready to buy, as we saw in those local search data that we looked at a second ago, it's very crucial to get them in front of the people in the time of need, okay? So let's take a look at this next slide here. So this is just how I would kind of recommend an allocated budget. Now, this isn't necessarily, this is what's gonna work every time, or this is what's gonna work for you, but in general, I would put a majority of my budget into paid search. Again, the reason is because of the intent. If it's gonna have the highest intent, it's ultimately gonna most likely give the highest return on my investment. Now, paid search is crucial because there's a lot of competition and you pay per click. So it's very important that you're bidding on the right keywords and you have the right ads and the right landing pages. It's all very cohesive to give you the best quality score and relevancy possible, okay? Beyond that, social network is probably where you're gonna have the best return, specifically, like I mentioned, Facebook. Now, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, these are all good, not only because they're good social networks, but because you have the ability to use DMS targeting as well. So take advantage of that. And then again, YouTube, video advertising, these other channels, these all really depend on what your budget is. If you've only got a few $1,000s and you need to make it stretch, well, let's put the money in paid search and maybe a little bit into Facebook and some awareness. But say you've got a more robust budget and you really have other goals, well, let's really take this omni-channel approach, because really they might not be on Google, but are you using Bing? Or they may not be on Facebook, where are you hitting them on Twitter? Well, if you have the money to take this omni-channel approach, it's really gonna help your messaging become more cohesive and get them into the dealership, all right? And then this is another slide that I found. This is just something I pulled off of LinkedIn, actually. I found Larry Kim had posted it. And I thought it was interesting because it was OEM level social media. And as you can see, most of it is gonna be that Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, right? But BMW may be onto something here. You can see Twitter, they've got 15 or 20% of their budget into that Twitter bucket and not really into YouTube at all, which is interesting, which is kind of not really the same across the board. You see a lot of Facebook, a lot of YouTube, some Instagram. So I don't know, maybe BMW's onto something here, but even at the tier 1, tier 2 levels, OEMs are very heavy in social, and that's not going anywhere. Okay, so now let's talk about geo-targeting your campaigns more effectively. My number one piece of advice in this overall, if you're not doing this, make sure you're doing it, give it a shot. Use zip codes. Now, there's a lot of reasons that I prefer zip codes. And at the dealership level, a lot of times that's what you're given anyway. You've got PMAs, you've got your AORs, but maybe you don't. Well, I would say one of the core reasons that I prefer zip code targeting above all else is you really want to be more granular with all your targeting, your budgets, everything, because that gives you more control. So by breaking your targeting out the zip code level, it allows you to really be more data driven than just saying, okay, I want a 20-mile radius around my dealership. Because maybe in that 20-mile radius, there might be a lot of pockets that aren't going to be very, profitable for you or even a good opportunity at all. But at the zip code level, it's a lot smaller, more granular. And granted, you can draw smaller radius targeting. But the zip code usually has census data, usually has demographic and income data. But also, we can do our bid adjustments at the zip code level as well. So maybe there are areas that we want to have more emphasis on or less emphasis on. We can have more flexibility and control on this. Okay. So this just goes to my next point of making sure that you use both inclusions and exclusions. And that's so crucial because, again, say you are using radius targeting. This is a perfect time to use exclusions because say you have that radius. Now I want to draw another radius and exclude that right half, right? So what you might do is you got one radius here and you overlap it with another one and you want to exclude it like a Venn diagram. So exclusions allow you to do things like that. Inclusions are crucial because, again, you want to make sure you target every single little area that you can that's going to make sense for you. Which brings me to my next point of, and this is kind of an underground secret here I've got, but this website, justicemap.org, and I encourage everybody to check it out because it's unbelievable. It's got great information, and this is really going to combine with using the zip codes to take your geo-targeting to the next level. So what the information at justicemap.org gives you is, again, it does break down that income, and it does show you as like a heat map of the hot and cold pockets. And say you're a luxury dealership, well, let's start analyzing some of these areas and say, well, are there really people in this geographic that honestly can buy my car? Maybe they're not, and maybe it doesn't make sense for us to advertise there. When, if our advertising dollars are so limited, then does it really make sense for us to put them in spots that might work? Or does it make sense to maximize the spots that we know will work, right? So use all the data to your fingertips, but especially use this geo data and align it with where are my sales coming from? Does that align with my advertising? Or maybe it does, or maybe it doesn't. And if it doesn't, then maybe you need to, align it together because maybe you can really increase those sales quite easily just by having some additional advertising in areas that, are working out for you better than others. Or maybe there are pockets where you really think that you should be selling more, but when you look at your advertising, you're not really even hitting those spots because you're running out of budget or you're not even advertising in that area in the first place. So by using your offline data and that sales data and aligning it with this online data and using the data from Justice Map, it can really help you take those campaigns and that geo-targeting to the next level. All right, so let's talk about combating your competitors. This is very, very important. And like we hit on earlier, ad dollars are going to rise, competitors are going to rise. It's going to get a lot harder to really make a difference in the future. And so we need to really have a good, sound strategy and really follow all the best practices that we can to really set us up for success. So looking at one of these reports, and this is one of my favorite reports to look at. It's great information. This comes from Google. It's called an Auction Insights report. And you can perform this at the campaign, ad group, whatever level you want to look at. Because what this allows you to do is see who are the competitors in my space that are bidding on the same keywords and are showing ads, at the same time for the same terms as me. Not only that is, what does my market share look like for those terms, or what does their market share look like for those terms? But also, what's my average position? What's their overlap rate? There's a lot of key information that you can get out of here to really help you know if you're being successful in that area or you're not. And if you know a competitor is going to be in that space, then it really helps you take it to the next level to say, okay, so where are they at today? Let me make some adjustments on my end, and then let's analyze it in a couple of weeks and let's see if it's making a difference. So looking at data like that is going to be crucial to know where you're at and where you want to be in the future. Okay. Here's another report from Google, and again, this is from this is looking at not only your impression share or your online market share, but also this looks at the lost impression share due to budget and the lost impression share due to rank. And what's important about those two is they're two very different, and there's two very different things that you could do to affect either. So let's say you're losing impression share due to budget. Well, there's a couple things that you could do to help out with that impression share. One is cut budget out of one campaign and put it in the other. Let's assume that your budget is $5,000 and you can't afford to increase it at all. Well, what we're going to have to do is say, if we really want to get this impression share up in this account or this campaign, then we got to cut something out from something else. Okay. The other is to, well, increase your budget. Now, I think that that's the last thing that we want to do. Let's try to see what we can do first without spending more money before we say, okay, we've exhausted everything. The only way we're going to get our impression share up is to really increase our budget. That's the last thing we want to look at, but that's where it leads me into the lost impression share due to rank. So the ad auction, there's going to be a ranking, and that's basically 1, 2, 3, 4. Where does your ad show up for that term in the auction? And it's going to be your average position is what's going to tell you what your ranking is. So if you're losing impression share due to rank, the only way to get that up is to essentially get your ad rank up. So there's a couple ways to do that. One way is to increase your bid. Now, again, that's going to drive more increased cost. You're going to get less traffic for the same budget. That's really the last thing we want to do. The first thing we want to look at is how can we improve our quality score so we don't have to, because essentially the ad rank is the bid times the quality score is going to give you your ad rank. So increasing the bid will give you a higher ad rank, but increasing your quality score will also give you a higher ad rank. So do we have the relevant keyword in our ad copy? Are we using all of the ad extensions? Are we driving them to the right page? And then we can dig in Google Analytics. What are they doing once they land on the site? Maybe this just isn't the best place to send them, and that's impacting our quality score. But quality score is so crucial because that's going to improve your rank, because you get the quality score up, you're going to pay less per click, you're going to get more traffic for the same budget, thus more leads, and so on. Okay, let's look at this next slide. So this is using a third-party analysis tool. And what I really like about this tool is there are some tools out there that gives you great historical data, and there's a lot of really robust information, but there's tools that are built around SEO that really don't make sense for paid search and so on. What this tool allows me to do is I can look at keywords down at the zip code level, and I can see all the competitors in real time of what's going on. It'll run it multiple times a day, so I can see up to the minute what's going on today in my market, who are my competitors, but also what keywords are they bidding on, what's our overlap rate, and what's their ad copy look like. So maybe I have a better market share, but my competitors are just consistently outperforming me. Well, how are they doing that? Maybe there's keywords that they're bidding on that are opportunities for us. But using this third-party tool really allows you to take that to the next level. So whenever we start up a campaign, one of the first things we'll do in our 30-day setup is run this offline analysis. So before we even launch and spend the first penny, we'll already know what to expect and who's out there and what keywords are going to be showing up on and what ad copy we need to do to separate us, which leads me to my last point, the ad copy. And the ad copy is so crucial. And it's one of those things where it's like, it is tedious and it will take more time, but it's so worth it in the end. And it's really easy to just, cookie cutter out some ads and throw them out there just to get it off the ground. But what you really need to do is think about, okay, what is the structure of my ad? And am I using the right keywords? And do my keywords align with my ad? Is it in the headline or is it in the description line and the URL? Am I using all the ad extensions I can? So ad extensions are free, but a lot of times they just aren't used because, again, it's more time consuming, and time is money. But if you really want to set yourself up for success, spend the time up front, set it up right, and then it's a lot less maintenance going forward because you've already built something great. So utilize all the ad extensions you can, call extensions, location extensions, site links, structured snippets, everything. And then make sure your ad copy is really going to separate you from your competitors. I mean, put yourself in the consumer's mind. If you're going and you're doing a search for a 2012 Honda Civic for sale, right? Now, we've got two competing ads. Now, one hits on 2012 Honda Civic. It's got the price. It's in stock. It's near me. And one just says used Civics for sale. Now, off the bat, which one am I going to go after? Probably the one that's more relevant to me. So really take your time, make sure your ad copy, and audit your ad copy, do it often, and make sure it's really going to help you get to the next level and drive those people onto your site, into your dealership. Okay, so we hit on, an overview about digital, past, present, and future, talked about core channels, some budget allocations, talked about geo-targeting and combating competitors. Now, the word that makes everybody's ears perk up is DMS. And, your DMS is probably the single most valuable asset that you have. And reaching those customers online is almost like $1 million question. Like, okay, with direct mail, it's easy, right? I have all their customer information and just send them a letter. Or I have their number, I can give them a call. With the one-to-one, it's pretty straightforward. But online, how do you reach them? Well, Google and Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter, they all have what are they called customer matched audiences. And what that allows you to do is upload first name, last name, email, phone, etc. This different personal identifiable information, and it'll match back. Usually about 30 to 50%. It's higher on, it seems like Facebook's more 50%, Twitter's more like 25, 30, and then Google and Gmail's around 40 to 50%. It really depends on how good a data you have, right? But retaining that audience is so huge. So if you can take all that DMS and upload it and then serve those people very specific messaging to get them back into your dealership, wouldn't you take advantage of that? Well, you have that opportunity, so you should take advantage of it. Or vice versa. Say, I only want to conquest new traffic. My service bays are full. I'm not worried about that. I just want to conquest new traffic and get them in my dealership. Well, upload that list and exclude that audience. So think about this as I go forward about how you would include or exclude that audience to reach your specific goals. So paid search. So paid search, we hit on earlier, is probably the single most custom intent, highly intent driven of all the channels. So say I am a Toyota owner, right? I got a Toyota Camry. Now, I probably wouldn't type in a 2018 Toyota Camry oil change near me because that's honestly just a lot. I probably might just type in oil change or oil change coupons. Well, with Valvoline and Jiffy Lube and everybody else out here, how are you going to separate yourself? And really, does it even make sense to bid on that keyword because it's so broad? Well, one idea is to upload that DMS audience, and that way, when you match against the people that you know are in your DMS, you can bid on these broad terms because it is worth it. Because you do want to retain that specific subset of customers, and so it might be worth it to bid on broader. But also, it makes sense because you've already identified that audience as being a Toyota owner, right? So you don't have to pre-qualify them with your keyword because you've already identified that audience. So that's just one great way to take advantage of that. Display advertising. Now, you can't use you can't use traditional Google Display Network. You can use Gmail and you can use YouTube, but you can't just serve traditional display network ads with customer lists. Google does not allow that. But there are some third-party platforms that do allow that you can do geofencing and you can do geo-addressable and some of these other things. So that is available. Video advertising, specifically YouTube. So again, taking that DMS, uploading it to YouTube, and then serving those people on that list the ads for your dealership because you've linked up your YouTube account, you've got your creatives and everything you do on TV, and you've uploaded it to your YouTube channel, and now you can serve those people ads across YouTube. And then social, you've got Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn. Now, again, I'd say Facebook's probably the most effective channel for this, plus Instagram, which is available, but hitting that audience on there. So service is a great example. So say I have oil change coupons, and I only want to serve them to people because maybe I have a main offer, but then there's people on this list that I really want to get in. It's a really exclusive offer. Now, granted, you do have one disadvantage of if that gets shared or something like that, there is the opportunity that more people could see that. So I do want to throw that caveat in there. But you do have the opportunity to only advertise to those audiences. So take advantage of that. And then Gmail. Gmail because, well, a number of reasons. One, it's very inexpensive. Two, it's very effective, especially for service-related offers. Really, really effective for service offers. But also, say there are people that have opted out of marketing communication via email list. Now, it is allowable to upload those audiences and serve them ads because you're not one-to-one sending them messaging, but you're still hitting them, around the side. So using your DMS online, whether you want to retain those customers, whether you want to conquest new customers, whatever you want to do with it, if you're not using your DMS online, then you're missing a huge, huge, huge opportunity, okay? And if you're not, please give me a call. I'll walk you through it. It's a very easy process, and we'll get you going, all right? All right, everybody. Again, I want to thank you so much for joining us for today's webinar. My name is Tyler Wilson. I'm the digital strategist here at J&L Marketing. If you need to get a hold of anything or need me to answer really any question that you have, please reach out via email or call. I know we did have a few people that did reach out with some questions. Just for the sake of saving everybody's time, I'm going to reach out to you all directly right when we get off of here. And I want to make sure that we get all your questions answered, or if not, I can at least point you in the right direction. So again, I want to thank everybody for taking the time out of their day today. I hope everybody was at least able to learn a little bit of something, and I hope you join me next time.